Why, hello there, everybody. So the internet's kind of been on fire for the last, going on, a little more than a week as of recording this. I just thought that, I should look at, a certain subject that is not embroiled in a bunch of controversy right now, aka not James Charles, aka not Jeffree Star, aka not Sailor Moon Man, and I instead want to focus a video on a man that in the past has said that pedophilia is not, you know what, let's just watch the video. Okay, let's just watch the video, which, by the way, he took off of his channel. He took this video off of his channel because sorry, I just had to die right there. Which, by the way, he took off of his channel because it got such bad backlash. First, the guy renamed the video, and then he unlisted it, and then after that he finally just removed it. So, since the internet never forgets, I found a re-upload of his video. Actually, before we take a look at the video, I just want to say, I know this is literally my first YouTube video that's going out, but if this somehow picks up at all, which I'm not necessarily expecting it to, I don't want any hate sent towards this guy. I'm sure he gets enough hate already, so I'm not trying to perpetuate hate against this guy, but I am trying to combat his points, because some of the points that he makes are utterly, bonkers. So let's watch this video, shall we? I am not okay with this at all. Oh, I don't want to watch this video.
Pedophilia pisses me off because it's one of those topics that you can't even talk about. If you make any kind of comment that sounds remotely like you don't absolutely despise pedophiles, then everyone's knee-jerk reaction is to call you a pedophile by association.
No, I wouldn't call you a pedophile. I would say that you are honestly kind of a terrible person if you're able to empathize with someone that manipulates a child into doing something inconceivably evil. You know, you're totally manipulating someone that isn't fully matured and able to make their own decision with their body parts. You know? That's kind of something that's inherently evil. That's you totally manipulating someone. But go on, try to defend your point. Try to defend fucking pedophiles, because that's worked for everyone that's tried to do it.
So you have to preface every single sentence with, "I don't find kids attractive," and "I don't support pedophiles," just so people will listen to you. But I've said before that I'm not attracted to humans, period. And I assume that people who watch my videos know that entertaining a thought does not mean that you necessarily agree with a thought.
I mean, I guess? I don't know what you necessarily mean by you're not attracted to humans, but okay. I mean, maybe he's a furry or something? I don't know.
So there are several kinds of pedophiles. There are pedophiles which are people attracted to young kids, such as a 30-year-old wanting to have sex with an 8-year-old. There are child molesters who are 30-year-olds who actually do have sex with 8-year-olds. And then there are pedophiles by technicality, which is something like a 20-year-old wanting to have sex with a 16-year-old. And this is also called a pedophilia. What irks me about our society is that it doesn't matter which one of these you are. It doesn't matter if you actually commit the crime, because even if you think about it, you are still seen as just as bad.
Okay, you aren't necessarily as bad as the person that actually engaged with the child sexually. No, you're technically, well, at least in my opinion, you're not as bad as that person. But on the same token, there's still something definitely fucked up in your head if you even entertain the thought of having to do something with a child, no matter their age. If they are not the age of consent or legally, like, old enough, then yeah, that's a pretty fucked up thing to do. Because you're using someone's immaturity and maybe, depending on the age or their hormone imbalances, against them. In this instance, you're the worst person if you're the 30-year-old having sex with the 8-year-old. But even if you're the 30-year-old thinking of having sex with the 8-year-old, doesn't matter if you do it or not, that's still a fucked up thing to do. That's really fucked up. I don't know why I need to really explain this.
Now, I have nothing to say in defense of child molesters. They are weak people and have irreparably damaged another human. I don't see them as any different than rapists.
I mean, I see them different as rapists, because rapists, take advantage of someone, whatever the age they are. In my opinion, pedophiles are even worse, because if they don't rape the child, then they actually kind of fuck with the head of the child into thinking that having sex with them is okay. That's arguably worse. Again, arguably. Both of them are fucked up in their own ways. But in my opinion, it's even worse to manipulate someone into thinking that having sex underage is okay. In any manner.
But for those who simply have the thought of being attracted to kids, I have sympathy for. Because sexuality isn't a choice. It's something that is part of you and you can't get rid of it. And there are no real options for people who are attracted to kids.
Okay, to that point, no. You cannot change or choose your sexuality. You can't. This is coming from a gay man, okay? I know what that's like and going through that. But on the same token, pedophilia isn't a fucking sexuality. It's a mental disorder. Or, well, not the act, but the wanting to act on your pedophilic urges. That is a mental disorder. Do I think that pedophiles want to necessarily be pedophiles? No. Does it suck for them that they're attracted to kids? Yeah. But on the same token, they should fucking understand that that's terrible. That is a terrible thing to want. And it's still up to them to act on those urges. Just like it's up to me to act on my urges to have sex with another man. How is that any different? I'm not going around fucking raping people or raping men because I'm interested in men. You know why? Because pedophilia isn't a fucking sexuality. And if it is, that doesn't mean that it's okay still.
You have to keep it to yourself for fear of society branding you as a child molester, or fear of being on some kind of watch list for a crime that you have never committed.
But you're still susceptible to doing it. He has sort of a point with that. No, if you haven't committed the act, I don't think you should be part of any list. No. Not any public list, but maybe like some sort of police thing, maybe. But no, not any public list like Megan's Law or something, no. But they definitely still should be watched.
And the way I see some people react to them sickens me more than the thought of pedophilia itself, because they are so harshly judged and hated, and rarely is that hatred about kids being hurt or exploited, or actual things that I could understand feeling hatred about. The hatred is because their sensibilities have been offended, and because it's socially acceptable to hate that person. And all for having a thought and desires that they can't control.
Again, I said this earlier. No, you can't control your thoughts, but you can still control your actions. I can think about wanting to hurt or harm someone, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to do it. No, that doesn't. But at the same time, it still isn't a good thing for me to think that in the first place. Why else would you not like a pedophile other than them doing something that has been socially condemned for centuries? Why would it not be socially acceptable to hate someone? I don't even necessarily hate pedophiles. I hate the act that they are doing. That's what I hate. Because it's fucked up. It is so fucked up. All this talk of fucking people's sensibilities. How do you empathize more with the pedophile than the victim? And if you're gonna try and pull some shit that is like, oh, well, the pedophiles are a victim too, because they can't control their urges. Do you think that a kid wants to get fucking molested? How is the pedophile's victimhood worse than the kid that is getting manipulated and or raped?
I've heard people say that pedophiles deserve to be tortured and killed. Now, I don't believe in the death sentence, even for mass murderers, much less for a person who has not even committed a crime.
Okay. Controversial topic. I don't believe in the death penalty also. But I also do think that they do deserve to be locked up, though. If you act on a child, then yeah, you deserve to be locked up. And you shouldn't feel sympathy for them. Just like you shouldn't feel sympathy for a mass shooter or a serial killer.
In the case of pedophiles by technicality, that is someone like a 20-year-old having sex with a 16-year-old, I find the reactions of people even more disturbing. Because, once again, it is people holding the law as a moral authority. I certainly believe that you should follow laws, but not all laws should be taken as this divine voice.
That kind of brings up the whole argument of morality versus laws. You know, there are plenty of laws that I don't agree with, or that are stupid laws from like hundreds of years ago. But this isn't one of them. You know, the age of consent, at least where I live, is from 16 to 18, and then after that you're legal. And if anyone is having sex with someone that, let alone them being under 18, but them being under 16, then that's just plain fucked up. It's not a pedophilia by technicality. It's pedophilia. If they're under 18, they are not legal, therefore they are still a child. Doesn't matter what term you want to put it under, if it's, you know, from 13 to 18, you know, it doesn't fucking matter. They're still a child legally. They still legally need permission from their parents for certain things. You know, they still legally, if they want to move out of the house, they have to have their parents, you know, sign all of their renting papers and shit. Legally, they are still a child. So until you hit that grand old age of 18, you're not an adult. Therefore, you are a child. Therefore, if you have sex with someone that is under the age of 18, then you're a pedophile. It's that simple. It doesn't matter if it's a 3-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 17-year-old. It's pedophilia. It just is. I just like to say that I fucking love your title, In Defense of Pedophiles. No wonder you removed this from your channel. God.
Not all laws are ethical or even make sense. Why does the law decide that a person becomes an adult at age 18?
Because someone has to make some sort of restriction. Because guess what? If we don't have any restrictions in a society, we get this great thing called anarchy. And you want to see what happens when a society has anarchy? Look at the French Revolution. Do you want to live in a country like what France was during the French Revolution? I don't think so. I don't think anyone does.
There is no magical leap of maturity because the sun has revolved around the planet exactly 18 times since they were born.
No shit. But you know what does happen? Is your legal age now. Why is this such a hard, like, why is this even debatable? Like, why? Why can't you keep your dick or your pussy in your pants until your partner is 18? If you can't, find a different fucking partner. You know, believe it or not, there is enough people on the planet that are single for you to have intercourse with. I don't know if you knew this, but there is.
Based on personal experience, I would say that between the ages of 16 and 22, most people I've met don't have drastic changes in their maturity level. The age of consent being 18 strikes me as odd. Shouldn't the age that you are allowed to have sex be based on when you reach sexual maturity?
Okay, but here's the thing, Mr. Kothism. People mature sexually at different times in their life. So, therefore, there's no real basis on what age that would be. You know, some people are maybe sexually mature at like 14, whereas others might be sexually mature at like 20. So, therefore, there's this huge fucking gap in age. So, what laws did to prevent people that are not of sexual maturity yet is they, believe it or not, they made an age that everyone can just have sex at, which is 18, which is towards the end of when at least most people are getting sexually mature.
Why is it considered such a moral crime and a sick thing to like a 16-year-old? Attractiveness and beauty standards are almost always measured by youth. Pornography distributors especially value youth, and the reason is because we have a natural drive and instinct to breed with those who are young and fertile.
You are right, yes. The reason why we do have the drive to breed with someone that is of a younger age is because they tend to be more fertile, as you put it, yes. The thing is just because that is what attracts some people, not all people, that doesn't mean that it's okay, you know? And I get your point with pornography as well, that it's always usually, you know, young guy or young girl, you know, having sex or whatever, like barely 18, that kind of shit. Yeah, and you know why they make that? Because of fucking pedophile. That's why. Because guess what? Porn industries, they honestly don't give a shit. As long as they're making money and they're getting the views and all that, that's all they care about, you know? So yeah, they make the whole barely 18 kind of shit for pedophiles. That's also why they get some girls that look like they're not even 18, that look like fucking 15 or 14, but are actually like 20. The reason they do that is for pedophiles.
In some states, the legal age of consent is 16, and yet you're still viewed as some kind of sicko for being attracted to someone of that age because the general population thinks that 18 is the age of consent everywhere. In Japan, the age of consent is 13, which many Americans view as sick and twisted, but I'm sure the Japanese just see it as normal and consider Americans exceptional prudes.
Okay, to kind of steal a quote that I heard from a YouTuber, Audi SD, I'll link them below, and I'll actually link their video that I watched about this, which is how I found out some of my information, so not copying their video, but I definitely did watch it and got some points of mine from theirs. To steal a point from Audi SD, do you really want to put your defense for a legal age of 13 for a country that has used panties in vending machines? Like, that's kind of a low bar, don't you think? I mean, it seems kind of like you're trying to reach for a point, you know? Maybe that's just me.
Now, why am I defending pedophiles? Well, the truth is, it's not really about pedophiles. The hatred and stigma attached to pedophilia is just one example of a problem in our society.
Rise up, gamers! We have a problem in our society! Sorry, I needed to do that.
And that problem is people taking the letter of the law as an absolute moral authority, and at the same time hating anyone who so much as disagrees with that divine voice of the law. You do not have to agree with me. You don't have to suddenly love people who have sexual fetishes that you find disgusting. But I think you should consider one thing. 150 years ago, it was considered disgusting for a white woman to like a black man.
You're not fucking doing this. Please tell me you're not doing this. I'm gonna keep watching.
50 years ago, it was considered disgusting and even a mental illness for a man to like another man. What happens when the law and social stigma isn't on your side?
Kothism. May I call you Koth? How the fuck are you equivalating pedophilia to racism and to homophobia? How the fuck do you think that that's okay? Okay, I'm gonna go off a little bit right now because I personally find this fucking atrocious that he's making this point. So you're going to tell me that I should be okay with an 8-year-old and a 30-year-old fucking because it's okay for, you know, a white guy and a black guy to have sex. You're fucking disgusting for making that kind of comparison. That just shows what kind of person you are, that you're able to make that kind of connection. That's fucking disgusting.
What if it was considered a crime to be religious? That even if you don't practice this illegal activity, just having the thought of loving your God is considered disgusting and a mental illness? What if the perfectly consensual, legal pornography that you like is suddenly considered criminal and disgusting and devious by the government? What if suddenly you're considered a disgusting and evil individual because of the color of your skin or your gender?
Okay, I can wrap up this whole last argument of his as literally him defending pedophiles and him just reaching for things to compare it to. This whole video is him just reaching. That's all it is. And as I've said, it's fucking disgusting.
So once again, I do not ask that you suddenly love pedophiles. I don't ask that you tolerate crime. I suppose I just want people to feel some amount of understanding and compassion for those whose thoughts and desires don't line up with their own sensibilities. And maybe have some faith in others, that even though they may have unsavory desires, it does not mean that they will act on them. Thoughts and desires alone don't make you an evil person.
Thoughts and desires alone don't make you an evil person. That's his quote. So let me ask you, if you have a thought or desire to go into a school and shoot up the school, does that make you an evil person? If you have the thought of going into your neighbor's house and chopping off their fucking head, does that make you an evil person? I'm pretty sure I've made a pretty good point that I don't have to answer that. I'm pretty sure the answer is pretty prevalent, pretty apparent. And also, little note here, why didn't you edit out like the last 10 seconds of your video with your avatar just like staring at the screen with the like royalty free news music in the background? Just little editing thing to me. Hey guys, this is me editing right now, and I just realized that I didn't make an ending for this because I actually wanted this to be a analyzing two of his videos in one video, but the video became just too long, so I'm gonna have to make a part 2 of this, which should be out maybe in about a week, if not less. Yeah, if you enjoyed the video, it'd be awesome if you could leave a like, subscribe if you like what you see here, because I'm going to be making more videos in the future. But yeah, subscribe for more quote-unquote content from me.